This is Detroit's Darkest Times. I'd like you to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and the like button. If you got any comments, leave your comments. I'll check them later. Today we're going to talk about the shutdown in Detroit. When the shutdown occurred, this was basically just a robbery of the city. When mayor and them robbed the city using funds that they weren't supposed to be using for their own wealth. And the reason I'm on this topic is because I want you to know a lot of things that took place during this robbery. One thing took place is some police stations that, house people in jail, things like that. The money quit coming, so that meant nobody got paid, no government funding to keep the police station or jailhouse running. So here's what happened. The prisoners was released. The workers left, and they actually just basically left and shut the doors. It ain't like they moved out or anything like that. They just basically, nobody was getting paid, no money to run anything. So they basically just shut the doors on some police departments. And this is public record, so if you want to look it up, you could do that too. But they had left a lot of stuff behind in the police department, like, people's files and what they were charged with, and weapons that they recovered, all kind of different things, like rape kits that they would use when they would get somebody in there that was, raped or something like that. They left all this behind. And basically just left and shut the doors. And it sounds crazy, but if you, look into it and stuff, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Also, there was some funeral homes that just got left and basically just shut the doors behind them and just left. Whatever was in there left it just like it was. And they have left urns that people's families' ashes was in. They was left behind. Hopefully by now the people has retrieved that stuff, because this is public record. So if people don't know about it, they can look into it and find out a little more. But just touching on how the city was robbed by the mayor and his friends, and this is just some of the things that went bad. But anyways, they had there was a guy that did a YouTube, and he would like get into abandoned places and just video it. And he got into the schools, that were abandoned. But these schools that was abandoned, they were acting like the schools were actually in motion, where they were getting funded by the government. So they were just basically using this money for their own wealth. And that's why a lot of times if you go to the city, a lot of it's cleaned up now, but there's still some that needs to be done. But if you go to the city and, or just pull it up on the internet, and you'll see a lot of vacant places, and then you wonder why, they tore these places down. But some of the places are funded by the government, so that was just money they was able to use. So that's why the buildings just sat there abandoned. And I know I seen my high school, and it was abandoned, and it, it was Southwestern High School on 4th Street in Detroit, Michigan. And there was a number of schools that was abandoned. Then you had a lot of abandoned houses that was, burnt and just sat there for years. And the truth be known on abandoned houses, the truth be known, this is just my thought on it. They probably, made like they use government money to tear these abandoned houses down and basically use that money too, and just the abandoned house is still sitting there. But now they're trying to clean it up a lot, and so hopefully it bleeds off into the neighborhoods and stuff like that. And you know, last I checked, it's looking a lot better. So progress is being made, but that was just a tragedy for the city. And I'd almost say, just from my experience, that was probably the biggest robbery that ever happened. Now, I'm not saying this don't occur in other big cities and they just ain't found out about it yet, but that was one they found out about because they had filed for bankruptcy. So the government stepped in to investigate, why they don't have no more money to run the city. And this is when they found out that, they had a warehouse. And this is, back when the BlackBerry phones, they had a warehouse and they bought a ton of BlackBerry phones in this warehouse. Then they bought motorcycles and cars and just stuff really they didn't even need. And I don't know if they was trying to start a BlackBerry business or what their intentions was, but you got to admit that they wasn't that bright, even though somehow, he became mayor of the city, but that's just through votes, but they couldn't have been that bright to do things like that. And then they had a lot of schools that were not in working condition, but they was still collecting money to actually run the school. And that's why most of the city looks so bad, is because they was just leaving them places standing, just basically to collect the government funding so they could actually use it for their own needs. But this was really bad for the city. So, these people really didn't care about the city, and they was just worried about their pockets. But anybody with common sense would know that this is not going to go over well. You're going to eventually have to ask for help, which they did. And this is how, their plan come tumbling down, And then he went to jail and everything like that, but the amount of money that was stolen is, a crazy amount of money. And the funeral home, that was a real sad situation, because that was just like people's family members and stuff that was like cremated, and their ashes and stuff was just still in the funeral home when they shut the funeral home down. And then they found like mummified babies hid up in the ceiling. I don't know what that was about. But it's just crazy. But anyway, it's public record if you want to look into it, just to, you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. But that was just some crazy stuff in Detroit, you know. And once in a while, you'll get somebody in there that would actually try to get it back in motion, which that's what's going on right now. You got somebody who's trying to build the place up, save what buildings they could, and tearing down what buildings that you can't do nothing with. But there's a lot of places that was just, they just packed up. They didn't even pack up. They just locked the doors, left. And like I said, in the jails, it was, they let all the inmates out and then shut the doors. But you'd think that they would, like, pack up the stuff and leave, but there was no money to be used. I mean, no money to be used, no paychecks, no money to get trucks to, haul stuff away, nothing. It was just, they done used all the money they possibly could. But then they finally had to file bankruptcy and ask for help. And this is how they got caught. But it makes you wonder, what kind of people are we really voting for? Because if they could get in like that, this can happen anywhere. But it hurt a lot of people, because by them stealing all that money and the city not functioning the way it's supposed to be functioning, uh, it just hurt a lot of people. And, they're responsible not only for just stealing money from the city, but they're responsible for a lot of things, and, but the funeral home is one thing that got me. I was like, God, I can't believe they just had closed the doors and left. Even the police department with the jails, I was like, that just it don't even seem real. So if you're listening to this and you don't have no knowledge about that, you could look it up and find out, But I just thought that was so crazy that, they was just stealing that much money, you know, and taking trips and, buying boats and, all different kinds of stuff they were doing until they actually got caught. But that was just, that'll be something, I'll never forget about. That was just something real crazy. And, all the schools that was just abandoned and it left, you know, and then after that, people just come in and they just ransack the schools and took what, you know, stuff they can take out as far as scrapping and things like that. And, basically then you had nothing left but just a shell. And then they finally got security in some buildings and put moving sensors inside the abandoned places so it would alert the security they finally got to keep people out of the schools and factories and stuff like that was vandalizing and also just taking scrap and everything like that out of there. But I like what they did with the train station, and they really did a number on that, and it's really good. But it was basically just left to be shut down. Mostly all the windows was out of it. There's no telling how much money Ford had spent to get it back on track, but they finally got it going real good. So that's something you could go visit, and it's open to the public. You can go in there and check it out. You ain't got to be, there on business or anything like that. There's the lower level. You can go in there and check out the history of it. And that place was real interesting because when me and my friends were young, we used to go there when it was a train station, and we used to hustle money from people and stuff like that. Uh, and some of my friends, they would get them buggies. They had them buggies and that you put your luggage on. And this was like a flat bottom buggy with it had like a brake on the handle. And they used to like get them and ride them in front of the outside in front of the train station. And some people actually got them and made go-karts out of them. But I'm just glad to see that that's operating good. And thanks to Ford that actually saved it and refurbished it. And then there's a lot of big buildings downtown that a lot of business people, saved the day and had them redone. And they look really nice. And in some places, there was no hope for it, so they had to tear it down. And the Greyhound bus station, and that was a place where my dad, he had worked as a security guard there, the old bus station. And he said one time a guy had crawled in a window and he had to go find out where the guy was at. He seen him on the cameras. He had small TV cameras, black and white cameras. And then he said he finally got a hold of the dude and just escorted him out the building. I guess the dude just thought nobody was in there and he was just got in there to see what he can get a hold of. But I remember one time my dad told me that he worked for, he did a lot of security work. He was like a security guard, and he did a lot of painting and stuff like that, painting houses and stuff like that. And one time he was working for Crowley's in Detroit, Michigan. And at this time he had a big German Shepherd that he had to keep with him. And he said he would walk through the store with this big German Shepherd police dog. And he said sometimes the air would kick on and clothes would kind of like move, for the air blowing. And he said that dog would just stop and stare at the clothes, just making sure it wasn't a person, So I was like, if that dog ever caught a person in the store, I feel sorry for that person because I seen the dog. It was huge. And it's like a big German Shepherd canine dog. But people used to get into places like them, Crowley's and all that, and see what they can take so they could resell it, things like that. But and also I wanted to mention there was a cruise ship. A lot of people know about it because it's on the news. There's a cruise ship that actually, well, you could say it wrecked, but I think it hit a big rock under the water where it's got in shallow water, and it actually tipped over. And then the captain got off the boat and went over to land, and then I thought that was really weird. When I seen that, I just thought about the Detroit robbery. Because I was like, well, a lot of people's thinking one thing and I'm thinking another thing because I got an open mind about things like that when it comes to what the guy said and what actually really happened and why it happened, And my theory is I just think that there was a little more to it than just him getting off course and hitting a big rock, and then the cruise ship tipped over because for him to get off the boat and take off and go to land. It claims his family lived there or something. He was either taking something off the boat or he was retrieving something. One of the two. But, I think his story was he was trying to get help. But I think if you're a captain of a boat, you're supposed to be the last one to leave the boat. You're supposed to make sure all your people are good. But I just wanted to touch on that because I thought that was crazy. And I think it's still today, I think there was a little more to that than what the dude was saying and stuff like that. So I don't know if they was just hauling something that needed to be dropped off that he knew about, that maybe was worth a lot of money or whatever. Who knows? But I just thought it was odd that he got off the boat and left, and then all the people, trying to survive and stuff like that. I thought that was crazy. But I'm sure there was more to that story than, what came out of it. Because once I seen what happened to Detroit City and all the chaos that happened, and then when I seen that, I was like, yeah, there's a little more to it than what that guy's telling the people. So hopefully he won't be driving or being a captain of no boat in the future. But I think he tried to get his job back, to be honest with you. So I don't know. That was crazy. And then the mummified babies that they found in the ceiling at the funeral home, I thought that was really crazy because I was like, what was these people thinking? I mean, you almost got to think that all these people was basically, I think everybody was doing a robbery that went bad is what it all boils down to. Because once there was no more money to get or no more money to rob, then it was just whatever it was is what it was. And then, later on, you had the YouTubers that was actually getting into the abandoned police stations and abandoned schools and abandoned funeral homes. And it's on YouTube today, these things that I'm talking about. And so it's really crazy, but, I guess people don't really think about the consequences when they're trying to do, scam some money or whatever. They don't really think about the consequences, especially, at a funeral home, When I seen this at the funeral home, I was like, they need to investigate every funeral home. Anybody that's in business doing funeral homes, it needs to be investigated. Make sure they're doing the right shit. Because, if you count on a funeral home to, bury your family or bury your children or cremate your family members or something, and then you see this, if you check it out, it's on YouTube, and you see this, you'd be saying the same thing I'm saying. All funeral homes need to be investigated, because that's crazy. Just to, no matter if the people's passed away or not, there's just some respect you got to show, and so once I seen that, I was like, man, they just getting carried away with trying to get the almighty dollar, because I'm sure there's other ways to get money besides that, But it basically just goes on, who's in charge, And if you got the right person in charge, they're gonna make sure things are running smooth, And then each individual place, like funeral homes, police departments, jailhouses, all that, they need to have a crew that just checks on certain things like that to make sure, say, everybody's in jail, everybody needs to be treated fair, no matter if you're incarcerated or what. And you want to make sure that, you know, that goes as smooth as possible. And then also when somebody passes away in your family and you get in touch with a funeral home that's supposed to handle the services or whatever, you want to make sure they're doing the right thing, because that's just something awful, to experience or see or even hear about. So that's crazy. And I also want to talk about in Detroit on Livernois. I used to sit on my front porch on Livernois, and I used to watch people. They had a train track, right close to my house, where I could sit on the front porch. I can see the railroad tracks with the trains and all that. And you could actually, some days in the evening, late in the evening, you can actually see people, jumping on the train, riding the train, because it'd be going, but it won't be going, too fast. They would run beside the train and just hop on it to get a ride to wherever they was going, And I thought that was crazy. Because, one slip up on, you slip up on a train trying to jump on it. If you fall in between there or something, that's going to be the end of your days. That'd be dangerous. But I used to watch them do that. Then they had piggybacks, and people used to mess around with them. They used to, spray paint, all that graffiti and all that. It was just crazy. You could just sit on your front porch and watch all this happen, And but I think for the most part, a lot of them people that did that got caught, and then a lot of them probably didn't, But I just thought it was crazy where they would run beside the train and just jump on the train just for a ride, That was crazy. Then they had this one dude. It was a friend of mine's uncle. He was in the military, but he had got, I don't know if he stepped on a landmine or what happened actually, but he got messed up in the military. So his mind wasn't too good. But he lived with my friend's grandma. And I used to go over to his house to get him or whatever. Sometimes he'd say, come in, we'll go in the kitchen, make something to drink and stuff. One time, the guy's bedroom door was open. And I remember seeing this guy at the store all the time. And he would always say, buddy, give me $1, buddy, give me $1, buddy. Give me a cigarette, buddy, like that. And I knew something was wrong with him, but I didn't really know he was my friend's grandma's brother is who he was. And he actually stayed with my friend's grandma. And but anyways, when we was in the kitchen, the door was open. I seen him, and I was like, hey, that's that dude that I always see at the store asking for cigarette. And he was like, yeah, that's my grandma's brother. And he said he got messed up in the military. That's why he acts like that. But his door was open, and there was a bed. Then the bed was like not right against the wall, but close to the wall. And then the whole wall was black, where dude would smoke cigarettes in there, and then he would put the cigarettes out on the wall. So you can only know that there's fire and stuff falling in behind the bed. And I told my friend, I was like, man, he's gonna burn y'all up one day doing that. And my friend said, yeah, we try to check on him every now and then, because he just got a bad habit of he'll smoke in his bed and then he'll put the cigarette out on the wall. And years later, the dude actually caught it was a two-family flat, and he actually caught the apartment on fire. And they had to, redo it and all that. But I think I would have got, as a family member or not, if you're in that bad a condition, I think, you need to get some professional help for the people that somebody can watch them like around the clock. Because she wasn't always home. And then my friend and me, we stayed gone most of the time. I would just go there to pick them up or something like that. Maybe go in there and get something to drink or whatever. And he used to take me up to Michigan and Military. And that's where his grandma hung out with all her friends. It was like a secret club. And he used to go up there and get like $20 at a time or whatever. So we'd have money to get things at the store. And he would knock on the door, and then the dude would it would be like a peephole thing, and the guy would move it, and they knew who he was. So he would just tell the guy, he wouldn't say, get my grandma. He would just say, tell my grandma I want $20. And then the dude would just hand the $20 out. He wouldn't open the door. He'd just hand the $20 out the peephole, kind of like. And I was telling him, I said, your grandma treats you good. Every time you come up here, she gives you money. He's like, yeah, every time I answer for something, she'll give it to me. Anyways, my friend's dad, one time, I had a guy that I knew hanging around with me, and my friend's dad, I went somewhere to make some money or something, and I left him there, and I told him, I said, see if you can score some money while I'm gone, and we'll go to a party tonight. And then while I was gone, I came back, and he said, yeah, I got some money coming. And I was like, what's up? He said, well, a dude came by. It was a friend of mine's. It was his dad or stepdad. I'm not for sure which one. But this dude was always getting in trouble with the law and all this other stuff. But anyways, I said, well, what'd you do? And he said, well, dude came by and asked me would I help him move a washer and dryer. And he said he's going to give me $25 or something like that. And so he went with him while I was gone. And then they done dropped him back off at the house.